Let me talk to you about happiness. If you ask a young person what is happiness, they'll probably tell you it's the thrill, it's the feeling of exhilaration, it's the pleasure that we experience physically. And they wouldn't be wrong. At the very least level, happiness is that. It's the very physiological sense of exhilaration that your body feels. It's the release of endorphins. And that type of happiness is often people try to repeat that type of happiness and to experience it and to create the ongoing experience of that type of immediate sense of exhilaration, of euphoria. And that is really the Western or the materialistic idea of happiness. By the way, the Quran does not reject that sense of happiness. But you obviously have to put some sort of parameters on that, because there are certain forms of immediate exhilaration and euphoria that are in fact harmful. So that, if you should, for example, engage in certain drugs to create an artificial euphoria or psychedelic experience, they definitely most of the time have long-term damaging effects on the body. As is with certain, let's say, relationships. If you indulge in random sex and relationships with women, you are bound to end up having long-term problems. If at the very least, if those women take offense and they start, trying to get their own revenge back on you. So happiness, the short-term euphoria, the immediate feeling of exhilaration, of pleasure, the pleasurable experience, the release of endorphins, that is a part of happiness that we should enjoy, yes, but we should realize that to maximize and to, at all costs, that experience does have a damaging side. Now, you can deny that all you like, but if you go around and you look at any person that has indulged in unfettered pursuit of happiness, in other words, just without any restrictions, gone and pursue that type of happiness, it normally doesn't end well. There's a word for that. It's called hedonism. Hedonism, Hedon. It's a pursuit of unrestricted pleasure and happiness. So basically, if you ask anyone what's the point to life, then they will say the reason I'm alive, or the reason I enjoy life, is because of the happiness. It's because the pleasure that I derive from these various things that I've mentioned, food, sex, other forms of exciting adventurous experiences. So these are the things that offer me a reason to be alive. But the Quran has a different approach. You see, the Quran doesn't see happiness, although it recognizes happiness, right? It does recognize it, and we as Muslims, we are fully okay, and we welcome and we embrace all pleasurable experiences and all happiness that we can possibly pursue. Not everything is always possible, but whether it's the adventure, whether it is the company of the opposite gender, whether it is good food, we partake in that and we enjoy it. Unlike Christianity, where the dominant force or the dominant moral position is actually asceticism, is denial of the happiness or the pleasures of the flesh. Islam basically endorses and embraces and accommodates the pleasures of the flesh, let me call it that. But the Quran offers a longer term view also on happiness, and that is the idea of fulfillment. Now, what is fulfillment? Fulfillment is a counter force that actually keeps happiness in check, and fulfillment is fulfillment of duties. So in fulfillment of duties, we actually create a more stable form of happiness that is deeper rooted. Because the pleasures of the flesh are in fact very, very superficial. It offers pleasure, but like with any drug, it's the amount of endorphins released does plateau out over time. And then that which gave you immense pleasure in the beginning might flatten out. For example, let's look at sex. If you are a famous singer or a movie star and very good looking, have an unlimited supply of beautiful women, and you will in fact have no restrictions on the amount of sexual fulfillment you will experience. But if you look at the examples of people that were in that position, then you will realize that they reach a point where it plateaus, and then they need to move on to the next sexual experience. And then you get experiences that then transcend or cross over into different types of sexual experiences that are maybe outside the boundaries, And I don't have to give you examples. You can think of examples. So what Islam offers is that we know that pleasure, the immediate sort of exhilaration and that endorphins release does plateau. So what Islam offers is a deeper source of happiness, which is fulfillment. And that fulfillment we get from feeling that we have done what we have to do, that we are happy with ourselves. Let's say, for example, eating. If you eat and eat and eat and you enjoy the KFC wings and you enjoy the McDonald's burgers and you love the pizzas and the macaroni and cheese and you just go and eat and eat and eat, we know what happens. You will reach a point where you will feel unhappy about yourself because your body shape will change. You will become overweight, ugly, even big, even morbidly obese. And you will become unhappy, deeply unhappy. Although the taste on the tongue and swallowing the good food as a momentary pleasure gives you a momentary pleasurable experience, the actual longer term happiness has evaporated now because you are deeply unhappy with not being able to control the amount of food that you are taking in. And so you have cancelled, you are feeling unfulfilled. You feel that you have neglected your duty towards your body in order to satisfy the stimulation of food or the pleasure of experiencing that food. And so what Islam is offering you is the boundaries, is to never to be a happy person, but also a fulfilled person. What we do is we satisfy those basic needs and we derive pleasure from those basic needs. What the Qur'an is saying is that there are other responsibilities besides your basic needs that you need to do in order for you to have a deeper sense of fulfillment. So, for example, if you are eating and eating and eating, your body will be the victim. It will become compromised. And so the Quran is saying that eat and drink, وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا, but do not exceed limits. So the Quran then puts a cap on eating and drinking. It tells you, partake, enjoy, go for it. Enjoy the fantastic meals that people can prepare, the best chefs, the a la carte menus. Go and enjoy it and drink the best drinks. وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا, but do not go into excess, do not commit excess, or do not consume in excess. And that is how the Quran really functions. Or it will say, what should we give in charity? And the Quran will say, kulil af, that which is beyond your needs. So the Quran will then, for example, balance out your need or your desire to consume with allowing or creating an opportunity for the next person also. And so when you consume and you're happy, but the person next door or your friend or your family member is also relatively happy in their lives, that comes back to you in the form of fulfillment. In Africa, we have a saying or a term which we call Ubuntu. U-B-U-N-T-U, Ubuntu. It means being a person, being a real person, being a man, being human. That is really the meaning of Ubuntu. Ubuntu, to be human. And to be human is more than just to drink and eat till you fall over, or to have sex until, whatever day comes. You as an Ubuntu, as a human, you do these things, and you do it in a sense where you preserve yourself and you preserve your society also while having those pleasurable experiences. And in Islam, of course, speaks about a responsible person, somebody, and the word there that the Qur'an uses is a person of restraint, a muttaqi, and the abstract noun is taqwa. Look it up in the Quran. Taqwa is the abstract noun, and taqwa means restraint, being a person of restraint, balancing out your needs with the needs of society and with your own longer term needs. So before you stuff your face, before you sleep around, before you do all of these things, balance it out with your needs and the needs of society. That is the concept of taqwa, or being measured and being restrained. And then final word that I want to say is, what is the highest form of pleasure for a Muslim? The highest form of pleasure is often described in the Quran as ذَلِكَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ. That is the greatest accomplishment. And what is the greatest accomplishment for a Muslim? That is the greatest pleasure also, is the sense that you have done justice. You have been fair all round. You have put smiles on your own face, but you have put smiles on so many other people's faces. And when you look at all those smiles on those people's faces, that is the Fawzul Azim. That is the sense of accomplishment that we take. There's a place in the Quran that speaks about the Nafsul Mutma'inna. Irji'i. Ayyawatun Nafsul Mutma'inna. The accomplished soul. The soul that has a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment, that is in a state of complete tranquility, rest, and fulfillment. Equilibrium, I use that word also. When you've reached that state of complete equilibrium, comfort and contentment and accomplishment, that is the Fawzul Azim. That is the greatest achievement for every human being. And that is when you have done justice to yourself. You have drawn from the pleasures of the flesh. You have enjoyed those pleasures, but you have done it in such a measure that you have balanced it out with the needs of society, with the needs of your own longer term well-being, and you have done justice to people around you. You have made the world a better place while you were in it and you were enjoying the pleasures of the world. And that really is the idea that the Quran advances of pleasure. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.